the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Hey everybody, welcome to the landing party. I am your host Graham Nolan, and tonight's captain's log is Stardate 2504.09, episode 47, The Gamesters of Triskelion, written by Margaret Arman and directed by Gene Nelson. Star Trek has been canceled. An inside source at NBC had leaked the news that they would not receive a pickup for the rest of the season. Although you would never know it by watching this episode that when the director called cut, the cast was in an understandable funk. That's professionalism. They all thought this was it. Fortunately, the rumors were untrue, and 48 hours later, NBC ordered 8 more episodes. When Shauna gives her final speech at the end of the episode, it has a greater sense of sadness when you consider that Angelique Pettyjohn thought that this was the end of Star Trek. She was a fan of the show even before she came onto it, and so she said in interviews that those tears were real because she thought this was it. This was the end of Star Trek. Pettyjohn had been an exotic dancer and a bit player on 1960s TV and movies, appearing in Get Smart. She played a dude in Get Smart, but still looked like a buxom blonde, and opposite Elvis in Clambake. When she came in for the interview for the part, she was blunt, telling the producers that her character is supposed to be a green-haired, green-eyed Amazon. The green hair we can do. The green eyes I've got. But at 5'6", I'm hardly an Amazon. The producers laughed and responded, "Look, honey, next to Shatner, you'll look like an Amazon." That's cold, man. And from the You Learn Something Every Day column, a Triskelion is an ancient symbol used in Greek and Roman and Celtic cultures, consisting of 3 identical shapes, usually spirals, arms, or legs radiating from a common center. It's often associated with motion, progress, or cycles, as the 3 parts seem to chase each other in a continuous loop. The name comes from the Greek triskeles, which means 3-legged. And, oh shoot, I thought I had it queued up here. Hold on a second. I've got a picture of one. Here we go. That, my friends, is a Triskelion. And if you look at the I don't know, I guess you call the battle patio from this episode that they fought in, it's very similar. So going on, with the budget always a concern, there were plenty of prop reuses in this episode. The bubble that encased the providers, the little brains, is the top of Lazarus' ship from the alternative factor. The key is that red star burst on the top, which Lazarus had. The backdrop for the Gamesters' underground lair is the matte painting from The Devil in the Dark. The ruins that Kirk and Shauna are jogging through were originally seen in The Man Trap, and the knives were reused from Mirror Mirror. So there you go, gang. That's our captain's log for today. Let's bring in the rest of the crew. Let's bring in the thralls first, because here's Aaron the thrall.
I like this episode. A lot of combat, a lot of I think didn't Petty John go on to be a porn actress or something after this episode?
She did indeed.
So
Softcore porn and then a little harder stuff until she realizes she could make some money off Star Trek conventions.
there you go. So a lot of interesting factoids. You made me laugh with your opening thing there. So
Okay.
She
And
went
Dracula and the pot dummy Quatrools.
It sounds a little predatory for her to go to Star Trek conventions where there's all kinds of people who'd never been laid.
Well, she was a smart businesswoman because, she'd have this picture of her as Shauna, and then she would have a nude version of it and sell it and sell both copies.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's so crazy.
Oh, man. Show us the
it's funny
show us the framed one you have, Ron.
What?
The framed one.
I would, but I need to clean it off first.
Okay.
oh man.
Lord.
There goes our PG rating.
Well, let's bring it back to PG by bringing Anna, the Star Trek girl.
Poor Anna.
I know. It's okay.
You've got to be subjected to this villainy.
We're all.
This is mild compared to the usual.
That's true. She does the Jack show. We're like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood compared to the Jack show.
That's true. Now, Anna, have you ever cosplayed as?
I have not.
The chick with the. I can't believe that you haven't done that.
It actually resembles my wife a little bit.
Well, there you go. Talk her into showing up at your booth, and you got something going on.
There you go. Get a bunch of nerds to come say hi.
Yeah, it's funny, Graham. I remember seeing when Kirk goes down, however many meters down below the surface. I was like, that's the same backdrop as the Horta.
Yeah. Yep.
There's so much I could say about this episode. It's just. But you go first, Aaron.
Let's start with you, Ron. I get the feeling you really like this episode.
I don't know about that.
Oh no! I thought from last week some of the things you said that this was one of your favorites. Am I wrong?
No, it's not one of my favorites.
Okay.
I found it quite amusing, but it's so again. There's some serious technical problems with it, and I get the whole story itself is about slavery. They even bring out the black guy.
Oh, I know. with his African look.
Yeah, and then standing next to a horror. I mean, come on. I mean, what? It's obvious what they were going for there.
Definitely heavy-handed.
Yeah, from the starting gate, though, the fight choreography in the very beginning is so ludicrously stupid. Like, it shows like Chekhov hit the tall like this, and then he flips himself around like the guy is flipping around. You can see how choreographed it all is,
right?
And it's so bad.
Yeah. And Aurora's fight is almost non-existent. This is
they're like this, like going like this on her back. Like
yeah.
They're pushing her.
And then the gamesters are like, you humans are so spirited and
yes, exactly.
I'm like, man, you guys are living some boring ass lives if you think that's
Yeah. Oh, he even compared Uhura, who stood there doing nothing, to the prowess of Captain Kirk, who was
yeah. You too, Lieutenant. Your spirit matches that
of the captain. I was like, well, what fight were you watching?
and they do the same thing when Kirk does that stupid plan to break out of the cells when they know they have the freaking things on their neck.
Oh, right.
And
but you got to keep trying.
Punches the one guy in the stomach, and then Chekhov kind of bumps the chick, and she doesn't even move. And then Uhura just breaks away from Lars or whatever his freaking name is.
Lars, yeah.
Who tried to rape her, basically.
Yeah.
And,
well, you know what? this is, to me, the first episode that we have watched since we started with episode 1 and the pilots, where you actually get to see that William Shatner over the top shit that everybody associates with him, even though he's such a really good actor. This is the one. Lieutenant Uhura, what are you doing to Lieutenant Uhura? And then it breaks to the commercial, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the one where they're out jogging
You're
and
killing her!
and just, you're killing her. Oh,
Even the
my
way
God.
he says Uhura, he goes, Uhura.
Right.
He
And then
doesn't
they come
say
back
it.
from commercial and he's like this, Lieutenant, are you okay?
Yeah, are you
You know?
okay?
Yeah.
There's so many moments like that in the whole
Yeah.
thing. It's just not a well-crafted technically. It's very not. It's not
You
well.
guys, you guys make me very sad.
Oh, maybe it was you. You were the one who said you really like this one.
I do. I love this episode because it has all these colorful character aliens in it, and like the big monster caveman dude.
They're horrible. They
and
look
then-
like they were put together by scraps of whatever they had on the side of the.
Just even the fact that they're reusing all the old sets and stuff. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
and it's so obvious. It's like it's,
You guys are losing your childhood joy. What was when I first saw this as a kid? I loved this episode. That was
But
great.
there's also the idea that these things are sitting there arguing with Kirk that they're superior intellects and stuff, and they're so clearly not. They're some of the dumbest beings I've ever seen
Right.
in the entire show. You
But
know, you
also the only
contrast them
scene-
to the Organians, and they're supposed to be
Mhm.
these superior mental, that they evolved past the need for physical bodies, where they're just gelatinous brains, and that's what they evolved to betting on. It seems like everybody wants to take humans and put them in a cage, and
I feel like the best scene in this episode was when Kirk got to meet the brains. That sequence I thought was great, where he's discussing and he talks about wagering with them and all that kind of stuff. That scene works for me better than anything else in the whole episode. One of the other ways that they cut the budget down was, instead of having more stuff shot on that planet, they went back. John Meredith Lucas, who was the new producer after Gene L. Kuhn left, he's now the guy in charge, and he was doing rewrites on the script. And the difference between him and Kuhn is Kuhn really got to the heart of the story, and he also added humor to it. Meredith Lucas, he didn't know when to stop talking. And so when you look at like when they went back, and there's all those scenes on the Enterprise that are that are the same. Every time you go to the Enterprise, it's Bones and Scotty challenging Spock's decision. Period. That's all that ever happens.
That to me though was the funniest part, was when Spock leans over and goes,
Yeah.
"This you guys are planning on a mutiny."
Yeah.
That I thought was funny.
That was a good sequence, but again, it was
down to this big. Go ahead.
There was too much of that challenging of Spock. He's the commander now. He's the captain on the ship, and and it's just you're I'm gonna go.
All right, I need to step in here and restore balance to
All
the
right,
interview.
all right, go ahead, Aaron.
Okay, first of all, McCoy always challenges Spock, right? I mean, so he was just being his emotional, annoying self, which I found entertaining. Now, Scotty, I was a little disappointed that Scotty was giving Spock crap, but I like that stuff. So, okay. And then secondly, the fight scenes were probably, they looked a lot better when I was 9, and I saw this episode than they do now. I mean, I get that. But all I need for a good Star Trek episode is some aliens and a lot of fighting, and I'm good. And this episode had aliens and a lot of fighting, and there was some funny moments in it. The whole thing with Chekhov and the yellow chick, and I thought that was amusing. And then the part, where Lars tried to rape Uhura, I was cracking up. That no, I'm kidding, not about that. But, yes, it was.
I was going Chekhov. She had a low guttural voice, even.
Yeah.
It was really
the whole thing with just a backstep for a second. The whole thing with Spock and McCoy and Scotty seemed like the blueprint for the next generation. Like, because they were, you know what I mean? Because in the next generation, it was all a big, there was the captain, obviously had the last word, but it was like a big panel of advisors, So it was a more disciplined version of what was going on the bridge of the Enterprise, which is what I liked about Star Trek, that it was a little bit more shoot from the hip that way. You could get away with it. I mean, what's Spock going to do? Is he going to put him in the brig? I get it, but that's the relationship they had. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the drill thrall sergeant guy, guy's freaking Nosferatu. What's not to love about that? Come on, you guys.
Well, actually, he is Ming the Merciless.
Okay, yeah, I'll take that.
That's what he's based on, Ming the Merciless.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he kind of glided across the ground like
that.
He was deliberately doing that. Even when he comes around to talk to Kirk, he makes a straight line and then kind of just turns like
right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then
you're on my side, right?
That placemat on the back of his head.
Great painting.
Come on, let's hear it, Anna. Come on, help me out here.
No, I mean, it was one of the first ones I ever watched when I was a kid, and I think as I watch it now as an adult, I'm like, ooh, this is a little cringe. But I don't know. There's like a soft space in my heart.
In the battle, they say, the color of your thing, is if you step off the color, you lose your weapon. Yeah, the first move Kirk does is step on the blue.
I know.
I mean,
I know.
He's all over that fight field there, stepping off of it constantly.
I don't think he did.
Oh, he definitely did.
No, he used the tape. Used that thing and he leaped over.
Yeah, that was once.
And then he might have.
Now his foot stepped out a couple times. His foot did step out a couple times.
I watched it this afternoon.
But so did
he practically ran across that thing.
Now wait, Graham, come on. You have a bone to pick with this episode. Obviously, he did step on the color, but it wasn't egregious. It's kind of
Well, you know what? If you say the wrong thing, they buzz you.
That's true.
This is everything is egregious if you break the rule, and the rule was you're not supposed to step off the other color because you lose the weapon you have. And
what I wanted to know is, do they add that echo in on his voice after, or is that a microphone above him that makes his voice do that during the filming?
I would imagine that it was after the fact.
He says that voice is. It sounds familiar. I've heard it in other things, like other shows or something, like Twilight Zone, maybe, or Outer Limits or something.
You're talking about the head thrall, the guy with the.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember seeing him
with a skin condition.
Yeah. Does anybody know that? So, what was your opinion, Anna?
Go ahead. Finish, Anna, what you're saying.
No, I like it. Even though I know there's things that are bad about it, but my biggest gripe with it is the ending. He just leaves 5 people there with brain psychopaths.
100%. That was the other thing I was going to bring up.
He's trusting.
He just leaves Sean.
They will abide by their agreement.
Yeah, but I mean, what are they supposed to do for food, for entertainment, for anything in there, for education, for anything in the trial? None of them, they were all prisoners there. She was born there. They don't know about the other ones. It's there's not even enough people there to make a next generation of people.
Hang on. There was an implied that there was way more thralls that we just didn't ever get to see. They didn't get out to the arena. That was the implication.
I know, but Jesus, he just won their freedom. And Kirk can't even take her on the Enterprise. I mean,
or at least like
he
leave
never
people
does
there,
that.
like a science
but
thing to, like,
you're
Yeah,
watch.
but you know
there.
what? In Bread and Circuses, or in some of these other episodes, they are like Miri. You know, they would leave people behind to help
Yeah.
them grow and build their
That's not,
society.
yeah, that's not this though. This is how would you even trust these freaking things?
Because
Right.
they're superior intellects. You've got
Yeah,
to trust them.
I agree with
There's
that.
a pure
Ron,
intellect
if he
torturing
doesn't
and
trust them,
enslaving people.
yeah, they're going to crush his ship, man. He's getting the heck out of there. I do the same thing. Good luck, you guys. I'm out of here. That's what I would do. You kidding me? They'd crush his ship.
First of all, he's having his way with Shauna. He's like,
Yeah.
keep making out with her just to get some, and then he just dusts her off and leaves her with these slave owners who you can't. I wouldn't buy it for a minute that they're not going to just fall right back into it, because they're too addicted to their gambling. You know what I mean? They're like gamblers, and they have an addiction to it. They're not going to just, as soon as they left, they probably slapped those freaking things back on their necks.
No,
they don't have
right.
any way to communicate the outside world either.
they're
Yeah,
guys. They're superior intellects. They've evolved into nothing but brain power. They made a promise. They're going to keep their promise, even if they didn't like it. They were going to do it to prove they could do it.
You guys are far too trusting. Where have I heard?
Well, I'm not saying I would trust him. I'm saying for this episode, what do you expect him to do? He'd have to have part 2. Kirk, frees the slaves. It has a Spartacus moment.
I love the colored brains. I thought that was so cool with the pulsating colored brains and the voices. And all right, so the background is from Devil in the Dark, but I thought that scene was really cool where Kirk is standing there, and I thought Shatner looked great in this episode. I know he'd been putting on weight throughout the season, but I thought he looked good, really good in this.
Oh, Graham.
He probably said, "Oh, I'm going to walk around with my shirt off. I'm going to have to lose it to you."
Graham's like, I really like the way Bill.
Well, you know what? This part of Star Trek was called the mid-season midriff.
Yeah.
Part of that scene that struck me was when his acting, when he realizes what he said to them. When he says,
"Oh yeah,
a wager," and then
you don't have the guts, the courage to wager.
He reaches back like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah. And the brains are wager.
Yeah, he knows right away. Like, oh my God,
I got them. We pride ourselves.
We gamble for power, money, women.
Women.
I love he threw women in there. Yeah.
Brains. we gamble for brains.
They should have just taken one of those brains to that Spock's brain planet.
See?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe the high pitched
Can
one.
you imagine one of those brains inside Spock's body talking? I also noticed in this episode, as it occurred to me, is that they patterned Spock's hair after George Harrison in the early Beatles days, because he looks a lot like George Harrison when George Harrison was younger.
Possibly.
If you look at, because George Harrison in the early Beatles days, when they're doing that, when they have the suits, the younger days,
yeah,
the same pointed sideburns and the cut straight across, and he resembles Nimoy.
60s, baby.
I don't remember the Beatles with the pointed eyebrow sideburns.
Yeah, you have to also find a picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Get on the computer.
I am.
And while you're doing that, I'm gonna accent a couple of these super chats. Russell Hall for $2. Why does he always get the ugliest drill falls? Yeah, I mean, really, the ugliest one was poor Chekhov. Chekhov. He really did not luck out.
No.
Russell again for $5. So this green-haired knee-looking chick could have a regular cosplay calendar and then a nude version, and she made a ton of money with that. Oh, talking about
oh my God, Russell.
Petty John. Well, he's not done. I feel like Uhura standing still was actually demonstrated way more prowess than whatever the hell Kirk was doing. Well, Kirk was busy doing Kirk Fu.
Yeah. He was jumping all over the place, kicking people in the chest. I mean, come on.
And at that point, I mean, those damn velour shirts were shrinking up like crazy. It was practically up to his rib cage at that point.
I know when Shauna put the knife to his throat in the opening scene, it right up his gut. It was hanging out, it came up this high.
That was driving him nuts. And the production company wouldn't spend the money for new shirts because
how much that cost?
They didn't think they were going to get renewed. In fact, they found out, or they thought they found out, it was being canceled while they were filming this.
But it really wasn't.
It wasn't. No, they recanted and actually ordered 8 more episodes. So Russell Hall for $2. Powerful intellect craves entertainment, and then Bad Adam 12. Aaron is absolutely right about this episode. This episode rocks. I mean, guys, compared to Star Trek, the original series, to other sci-fi shows of the 60s, and the writing, production, and performance are light years better. Absolutely. That's why we do this show. This isn't that episode, though.
Oh, Anna, you and I.
Thank you, Bad Adam.
Oh, I mean, obviously, we're not being our opinions are not being respected here.
Hey, I think it's a charming episode.
So do I. It's fun. It's you guys are just like
you know what? All I'm saying is that it would be okay if there were more attention paid to the technical problems with it. I mean, even the Andorian who goes at Kirk.
Oh yeah.
And he's like all fat, and he kind of Kirk lifts him up, and he's got the knife, and all he had to do is plunge the knife right into his back. I mean, it's just
right.
There's just things that annoy me about it. Other than that, I mean, I think the story is interesting.
Now, the guy who directed this is not one of the regular rotating directors. It's a first-time director, and he was a dancer and an actor who was in Oklahoma and some other stuff. And you know, I don't think he really put the actors to the grindstone. You know, I think he felt like, oh, all these guys are regulars here. I'm just going to control the choreography of stuff. And even then, I don't think he did a good job. The fight scenes and stuff are subpar. You know, I just don't, you know, and then, as I said, this is the first time we see William Shatner really hamming it up, you know, and that's, I put that on the director's feet for either A, not reeling him in, or B, encouraging him to go over the top, you know.
You think the director was responsible for that?
Well, he is director in conjunction with Shatner was, because he, you know, I don't think Shatner pulls that off with Joseph Pevney or the other guy who was, there was like 3 guys that would rotate.
Mark
Daniels.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah. I don't think those guys would do that, because they were almost as much a part of the series as the regulars, and I think they would have had a stronger hand and said, whoa, let's pull this back.
Maybe. I mean, we don't know for sure, though. So
yeah, I look at this as you know, movie candy, you know, that you buy before you go see a movie. It's just it was I like Anna said, it's charming in a weird way. It's fun. It's very superficial. There tries to be a message in there that, like you said, is like heavy-handed to the ultimate degree. But the elements that were in it, you know, the whole sort of arena fighting, different aliens, again, the Nosferatu guy, and the brains. I mean, there's a lot of high concept stuff in this episode that I found entertaining. And it doesn't bother me.
Do you like B movie, like, you know, like The Terror from Beyond Space and things like that? Or
I do. I love that stuff.
I do.
That's I can see why, you know, like why you like that, and I like it too. I just I have no problems with any of that. All those elements, it's just the way they're.
Together. But you know what? The difference between a good B movie and something that's not done well is that there's a certain amount of what's the word I'm looking for? Sincerity in a B movie. You know, you believe that the actors believe what's going on, no matter how ridiculous it is. You know, whether it's a Martian, on this spaceship, and the spaceship just happens to have bazookas and 45s. You know,
Yeah.
like I'm using it, the Terror from Beyond Space as an example.
That was the first Alien movie, really.
Yeah. In fact, they
ask you
swiped the whole
something.
scene in the air ducts
Mhm.
with Captain Dallas, from that movie.
Yeah.
Was that the movie with the dude that was in Creature from the Black Lagoon?
No.
He was in something like it, it came from outer space.
It came from outer space. Richard Carlson was in that. Yeah.
Okay, who was the babe that was in that with him? I saw a photo still from that the other day, and I was like, "Who is that?" Brunette was in that movie. Whoo!
Saying, what was her name? She was in. I think she was in like a soap opera for year. Let's see. If only we had a machine that could tell us.
Or I could type in a question.
I only had a way.
Barbara Rush.
Oh, Barbara, really? That was Barbara Rush. Okay.
Yeah, Barbara Rush.
Well, I just saw a still from that the other day, and I was like, "Woo, that girl's pretty." And,
it was a good one. Was 20 Million Miles to Earth.
Oh, that's the one with the Emir.
Emir.
I love that movie. That's so great.
I wanted the elephant to win, but he kept getting bigger.
Yeah.
First the elephant was messing him up, but then he got bigger.
That's one of my least favorite Harryhausen films.
Yeah. I like
why? Because
I know what you're gonna say because I
Hopper, go ahead. What's his name? It's
the guy from Perry Mason.
Yeah, it's Hedda Hopper's son. The gossip columnist, Hedda Hopper's son. He's like this colonel in the U.S. Military, and he's in Italy, and he's telling everybody what to do. He's grabbing bazookas from guys. He's telling the Italian army to go over here and do this and do that, and he's running all over Italy, doing everything to get this thing. It's just so over the top.
This is the problem. Okay, this is the problem with you guys with this episode. I don't give a rip about any of that stuff. There's this cool stop motion monster fighting an elephant. I don't care about any of the rest of the film.
Right.
And it's the same thing with this episode of Star Trek. There's just weird aliens and they're fighting all the time. And people are getting spears thrown in their gut. I'm like,
I know what you're
this episode.
I know what you're saying. I get what you're saying. The difference is, though, like, let's take Godzilla 2014, okay? Part of the reason that movie sucked so bad was because you didn't see enough Godzilla in it, and it was all this character development that nobody gave a crap about.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted to see Godzilla fighting whoever he was going to fight, because Godzilla is the star of the show. You know what I mean? He's the star of his own movie. It's not about those other characters. In this, those characters aren't the star of the show. It's Kirk and Spock and McCoy and all that. But it's so ham-fisted, it's so poorly executed that it's hard to root for those other elements.
No, I understand there's a lot of schlock in this, and I understand that but for me, it's like when I look at a Star Trek episode, you can almost tell right away the ones that have some depth to it that you can really sort of get into and appreciate, and other ones that are just there for kind of, this is the entertainment episode this week. And you just
I get that. I get that.
And that's kind of how I look at this one. It's not a great episode if you break everything down that makes a really good story.
And the bottom line is you liked it.
Because the entertainment value I thought on this episode was really high. Yeah. So the credibility is not high, but the entertainment value on it is high. And so then I just kind of coast with it. And I never try to get more out of it than they try to give me.
It's definitely not their worst one. I don't think it's bad. I just think there's problems with it that it's hard.
Well, it could have been better, sure. It could have been way better.
Yeah.
But for again, what it was, I enjoyed. I guess Ron, you said
it was good.
Yeah, you like the concept, and so do I. And the concept was good enough that it carried me over the crap that was in it. I guess.
See, I would argue that the concept, which is good, does not go over the execution. The execution is poor. Every bit of budgetary problems is right out in front of you in this one.
That's where I have problems.
Yeah, we've got all these thralls, and we don't see any of them. It just seems like it's this insulated group of a few people. So by doing that, it makes the power of the what are the brains called? The
Gamesters.
The Gamesters. Okay, well, yeah. The power of the Gamesters is limited. It's not that great, and yet they're able to beam somebody out like how many light years away that they pick them up off the transporter tubes.
Well, it's also the biggest problem too. You're right about all that. The biggest problem too is these thralls they're supposed to be these trained. They do all this training, and they're the most slothy, unathletic,
Yeah.
It's like a circus that came to town.
No, the circus people look better.
I mean, it's just so bad. It's like these Gamesters really make poor choices.
They take what they can get, it looks like.
Clearly. I mean, Lars.
Well, their brains, they don't have eyes.
Lars just looks like a big rapey soap opera actor.
Yeah. And and his hair, the Pat Boone haircut.
Yeah, he kind of looks like Pat Boone, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's totally an earthling. It's not like he's some alien. It's just bizarre to me. Like why they chose Chekhov's mate. Like why did they make those choices for this? Like why is Chekhov's some fat sort of, I mean, I don't mean to sound cruel, but I mean just
no, you're right.
What she was, you know what I mean?
It was meant to be
comically chosen for
unattractive. Yeah.
He puts her chin on his shoulder. It's just so weird.
He would choose us.
and the deep voice too. I mean,
I thought it was funny. I loved it. That was funny.
You loved it.
I did. It was funny. I mean, right. I mean, I go to movies all the time and I sit there and I watch the film and I go, you pick out all the stuff in it that sucks and you go, this could have been so easily solved. Why didn't someone take 10 minutes to solve this problem instead of just going with it? And
Ethan wants to know if this was one of the bad episodes.
No.
Well, we're getting to that, Ethan.
Well, hold on. Ethan doesn't even like Star Trek. He passionately hates Star Trek.
What? He hates Star Trek.
He's trolling us is what he's doing.
Then I'm sending him to the cornfield.
But you can sit here and look at this episode and go, why didn't they just have like a scene where they're walking through all these jail cells and there's a bunch of thralls and they're locked up, just to give us the idea of scope or something, right? Or why didn't they do this or why didn't they do that? But I give them a lot more leeway because I understand that they had serious budget constraints.
I mean, the only thing they had over them were the neck things.
Right.
And
that was a story element.
Yeah, it's almost laughable. Like, I gotta fight these morons just so I don't get zapped by this thing, I mean, and get the threat of being killed over it because they're just so lame. I mean, for me, if you're gonna set them up in an arena like that, where you're gonna fight them against each other, make the thralls something worth fighting. Not Shauna, who's running around in a half naked, who can barely.
Hey now.
Thing, and
that's the good part of the show.
But I never found her attractive either. I never liked that character.
She's better than the android chick in season 3.
Don't get me started.
Let's
get on season 3, okay?
Which android chick?
The one that Kirk falls in love with, and then she dies, and he's all crying.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. The one with the Requiem from Methuselah.
Well, she's certainly more sexual. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
She's kind of horsey faced.
Yeah, but she's saucy though. You know, she's a saucy babe. She's
Aaron pulling out the old adjectives. Saucy.
She's a saucy babe.
And Chekhov's girl was husky.
Yeah.
What to make of that? Like,
she was a handsome woman.
She was a handsome woman.
You know what I was thinking when I was watching her is like when she auditioned for the role, you have to be reading this and not be. How do you not be a little bit insulted that this is the role you're being offered? You know what I mean?
You mean Chekhov's girl?
Yeah. Like I'm looking at this actress. I'm thinking she's being insulted on the show. Chekhov is acting like she's got, VD or something. Her voice is all husky and she's playing it up. And I actually felt bad for her.
No,
wants to be an actress in Hollywood or whatever. She's an actress, but that's the role she's being offered. And I just felt kind of bad for her.
You got to know that they put out casting calls and said, this is what we're looking for. And people go in there knowing that, hey.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I get it.
But, there's so much of the, this is a large story that's shot small.
I agree. I agree with that.
And that's the biggest problem with it. I mean, stupid little things like the jail cells that they have to spray paint the bars. So, you look at the close-ups of the hands on these bars and you see the spray paint and it's like, what the fuck's the point of that?
I've seen better work on Lost in Space.
Yeah, it's exactly. And, we talked about Jerry Zinnemann's cinematography. Completely. I'm not sure if he shot this one, but it's completely lost. You don't get any of that wonderful lighting effects or anything. Everything seems kind of brightly lit, particularly on Triskelion.
Do you think they had half the stuff packed up thinking they were getting canceled and this episode just did not get the love it deserved because of that?
They did not know until they were filming it.
I wonder what they made those brains out of, like how they molded those.
I bet they took them from they had laying around from a 50s sci-fi movie that was
probably and they just lit
these rubber brains and
they were all lighting at the same time. It wasn't like they were independent. They were all, every time they were talking, the lights were insane.
Yeah. Got a few more super chats from Russell again. What was the drill thrall's prawn name, by the way?
Porn name.
Oh, porn name. Oh.
I love how Anna can decode Russell's.
Yeah, we need Anna here to decode Russell's typing abilities. Paul Taylor's back again. Going to Eden is still the worst. That one's a bad one. It's not as it's worse than this one, but it is not the worst. It would have been fun if the Ferengi were related to these disembodied brains.
Or how about the buttheads from the pilot?
Yeah, that's a good. That is actually an interesting point because they could be Ferengi brains, for sure.
Well, what about the buttheads?
Because of gamblers?
Yeah, the way they talk and everything, the Quatrools and the Ferengis.
Yeah, it's all about making money.
Oh, okay, all right. Oh, that's a good point, Paul. Russell Hall for $5. Why do we remember Captain Kirk as some great ladies man when 90% of the chicks he pulls clearly didn't start out as women?
Oh my gosh, look at him
because the ones that he does get that are hot, Russell, make up for all the butter faces.
The butter faces. Kirk, the thing is with Kirk, he understands that sometimes you just got to use women to get what you need. And if they're not the best looking, that's okay. He's still
going to for it quickly too. He's like, you're such a beautiful woman. And he shows her a reflection of herself and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what my biggest problem with this episode is? They got those guys in those cells, right? And they're going to stay there forever or until they die, supposedly, right? Where's the bathrooms? I mean,
there's
come on
the wall, they pop out.
Oh my gosh. I was like, where is the bathroom at for these guys?
Didn't occur to me. Maybe when they went training, they had outhouses.
Bathroom break time or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they shit in the woods, just like
I
a
would
bear.
imagine they let them out because they had the things around their neck, so they were probably able to just go out and do whatever they're doing.
Right.
Well, yeah,
In
'cause
fact, like,
all the
I
other ones
started
were free to walk around. It was just them that weren't because they were still being trained.
Yeah, one of the story points was, NBC was saying, well, how can he be jogging out there with her, without a guard watching him? And that's when they came up with the collars. You know, it was strictly a story point so that they didn't have to hire more actors or put more actors on the screen to follow them around as guards. If they had these collars, these control collars, they could just, they could go off and do their shit.
Well, it was obvious they were just interested in watching Kirk and everything at one point because by the time he socks her in the jaw, I mean, it makes no sense that he
The
would even
episode's worth it just for that meme.
he would, what's that?
The episode's worth it just for that meme of him punching.
Yeah, I mean,
Does
it's just,
anybody believe he really punched him?
obviously they're watching him, so it makes no sense that he would try to sneak out and everything. Obviously, he's going to get caught. They're watching every move he makes, so I didn't understand that either.
Yeah, if he's out there jogging with her and making out with her, and they know he's doing it, then certainly they know he's going to punch her in the jaw in his cell.
They clearly saw him do it because then he ran into the next room there, and there they were. Everybody was.
Well, that's the funny thing is, I mean, this to your point, Ron, that you made earlier. She's supposed to be this warrior chick, and he does this and knocks her out. She's not a very good fighter if she can't take
what I mean,
that.
the whole thing. They're just also it's just whatever.
He took her off guard.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, Shatner did most of his own stunts in this thing, as he liked to do, which was great. But, as I said, he's stepping into the blue or the yellow, whatever the color was.
It's supposed to be on the yellow, not touching the green.
Yeah, and he's just constantly, all over the place on that stuff.
We need to see that because I don't think he.
I don't think it's as bad. And I watched it last night, Graham. I don't remember him. I mean, I know it bugged me when I was a kid that it was like, oh, he just touched the blue.
Anna, can you find that?
It wasn't egregious.
Which one?
Like, can you find there when Kirk is fighting on the yellow thing?
Okay, I'll pull it up.
Yeah.
Let's see if he.
One of his first moves, he steps off.
Yeah, I know, but come on.
I don't think he does as much because I remember watching it deliberately for that reason.
Wait, Graham, which one did you watch? Did you watch the original ones or did you watch the remastered?
That part that wouldn't matter.
Yeah,
I
watched it
today. Either would work.
Today. Ron. Yeah, I watched it today, Ron.
I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you watched it 6 years ago.
Forget Aaron and his low-hanging fruit. I watched it today.
I jerked off to it today, Ron.
I looked
not like you who did it a year ago.
I was trying to look through that silver suit. Oh, there's also another scene where he goes, where Kirk's got
nice
his
segue.
Like this, right on.
Wait, what?
And he says, "What does he say?" He says something like. Oh God! What?
No, you're talking about when they were jogging, right? And he reaches out and he goes,
well,
"Tell me about the."
Yeah, tell me. But he's got his hands right, and he says something like the caregivers or something, and he's got his hands right on her boobs, basically.
Yeah,
so funny.
Because she goes, "We shouldn't talk about this," and she walks away from. He goes, "Okay," and you think he's not going to say something, and he goes. Tell me about the provider.
Well, that's what it was. The providers. He's like this right on our music.
Tell me about the providers.
Okay, I got it. I got it.
Okay.
All right, so let's see.
Okay.
Let's see.
Here we go. Now I don't have sound on because I don't want you to get in trouble.
I'll do the sound. I'll go dun 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 dun. All right, here we go.
Oh wait. Is it big enough? Can you guys see it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, remember they're watching it on the Enterprise?
Yeah. Hey, look, that's the first girl to sit at the controls since number 1 in the cage.
Oh yeah, she had some lines.
Right. Here we go. He's on the yellow.
Yep, he's on the yellow.
Heaven's got nothing to do. Okay, here we go.
Oh, right there.
Okay.
Wait.
That's starting.
Yeah, but come on, that's just sort of like
No, he loses his weapon right there.
Look, right there.
Oh.
Right there.
right there.
That's a minor
It's
infraction.
not minor.
Well, Graham, in fairness, you're making it sound like he jumped right into the
That's
middle
the
of the
first
green.
move, dude. You wait.
All right.
You wait. I watched it today.
Oh, wait.
Oh, he's off there.
No, hang on. Right
Oh.
there.
Oh,
Right there.
right there. He's completely off.
But they're minor infractions.
I feel like that
There he's
boy
off.
said it was
So
added on.
are the thralls, though. They're just jumping on the yellow.
He's trying to stay on it, Graham.
Trying doesn't get it done.
He's
Now, you
doing
know
his
what? Every
best.
wide receiver tries to stay in bounds, but that doesn't make it so.
I consider those.
Oh my!
I consider those minor infractions.
Look at you.
And clearly, the providers felt they were minor infractions as well because they did not throw the flag.
Why do they have freaking flames like those torches? Just for
Dramatic effect.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Keep going. Let's see. Like,
See? That was a
Nice
nice
little leap there.
Kirk and Ahura had to wear these harnesses thing, and Chekhov doesn't.
Oh, hey, you know, I never even noticed that.
They
They
ran out
ran out
of
of
them.
budget for it.
Ah!
yeah,
That's
why
funny.
is that? That's weird.
All right, that's it.
Oh,
Oh,
all
he's
right.
completely on there.
Oh, he's out again.
Oh, his knee was down there.
I love that one.
Yeah, that was cool.
Actually kills someone.
Yeah.
That was the other thing that jumped out at me. Is he actually
Oh,
does
look out for
Wait,
Lars.
that guy's got one.
the soap opera actor, and here comes that fat Andorian.
You see the oops.
Now watch the way he tries to stab him here. It's hilarious.
Huh? Oh,
Oh, yeah. And then
And
he's
he's
just
out.
knocked out from that.
Yeah.
How'd you get knocked out from that?
well, maybe he landed on the knife.
No, because if he was dead, then the games would have been over. If he's
Oh, that's
knocked
right.
out or wounded, then the fresh thrall comes in.
Well, you know, he got concussed.
You
And I love how he like throws Shauna in there.
He's
Like
stuck right there.
at this point, the brains have got to be going, okay, we're cooked. There's no way Shauna's going to beat Kirk.
Dun, 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 dun.
like the thralls concede or whatever she says. I thought he was supposed to kill them.
Right. That was a cheat. The ending. I agree with that. That bugged me. That ending. He should have killed her.
He should have killed her.
He could have said, Shauna, I didn't lie to you. You know,
Yeah, what does she say?
The
We
thralls.
the thralls
all surrender.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's that knife from Mirror Mirror.
Well, he loses the knife because he's laying on the blue.
It's not even blue, it's green.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They said don't step on the blue, and I'm like, yeah, I did the same thing. I was like, that's green, isn't it?
Wait,
Yeah.
so maybe that was the technicality. He can stand on the green because they didn't say you can't stand on the green. You
That's
can't
true.
stand on the blue.
You know,
word
on
was
Earth,
blue.
this is called green. So
On
I'm
Earth-
good.
On Earth, we call this green.
On his hair.
Yeah. That was the other thing. I hated this wig. I mean, it did not do anything for her.
It's
She's
as
an
big, it's as
alien.
big
It's
as her upper body.
Oh, okay. That makes her alien.
Does.
Yeah, I don't know who designed that costume either, but it's pretty god awful.
That was
really,
Bill
that-
Pease.
That's 60s sci-fi right there in a nutshell, man.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
That
Look,
big
look, and the gloves. Look at the gloves.
Captain
Oh, I
America.
love those gloves, man. They're like superhero baggy gloves. I love that.
You know what I just realized, because I never thought about it before, really, was he just killed all of the dudes on the planet except for the Dracula guy.
Yeah, Dracula's
So
going.
it's literally
yeah.
just her, Dracula, and the fat orange chick that are left on this, and the brains.
No, look at. I'm telling you, there is a bunch of thralls.
So
Like,
Dracula's in for a good threesome.
yeah,
Chekhov is so happy to get out of there.
I read up on this and I keep thinking so many of these scenes were written for George Takei as Sulu, and he was still stuck in Georgia waiting to finish filming the Green Berets, with John Wayne. They got held up because of rain and some other issues. And there's all these great second season episodes that were supposed to be Sulu forward, and he missed out, and it became Chekhov.
Well, the funny thing is, and he was pissy with Chekhov this whole second season because Chekhov took all of his parts, but it wasn't Chekhov's fault. It was his fault.
Oh, he was pissy with Koenig?
No, not at all.
In the second season, I thought I read that he was, Graham,
well, concerning this episode, he was happy that Walter got to do it, but I mean,
he says that now.
Yeah, he probably says that now. He was probably pissed.
Right. Well, according to Czech, I could have swore. You remember when Shatner had that interview show where he would like interview people? It was on HBO or something. Did you guys ever see that?
Yeah.
Well, he had Walter Koenig on there, and I could have swore that Koenig said that there was a bit of animosity directed at him from Sulu because he was taking all of his parts, and I was like, well, that's not his fault. Sulu wasn't there. That was his fault.
I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
What are you rating, Graham?
Oh, wait a sec. Russell Hall, $5. Fun fact: the guy responsible for these fights went on to choreograph the Disney Star Wars lightsaber fights. Well, that's interesting.
I don't believe that.
I think he's lying.
Not true at all.
Your balls, Graham.
That's insulting to the guy that was directing the Star Wars or Star Trek. Excuse me.
All right, let's give it some grades. Aaron,
9.5.
No way.
I was looking at Ron's face. It was like, what? I'm still going to give it higher than you guys. I'm going 7.5 on this. I liked it, despite all of its faults.
Wow.
Graham, you go next. I want to hear what you're going to say.
5.
Oh.
Anna's not going to stand for that.
No, I'm actually exactly like you. I'm a 7.5 on it.
Yeah, see? Great minds. We're like the two of the three brains.
What about you, Ron?
I was going to give it a 5.5.
You want to give it a 6, though, don't you?
I just think it's so poorly executed that I can't take it seriously at all.
Yeah.
Even with all the schlock fun and stuff, you still have to have proper execution with it. I mean, it just is horrible.
And let's face it, there's some shitty scenes on the bridge too. When McCoy says, "Oh, you're off on a wild goose chase," and then this is one of those moments where Spock says something stupid like, some kind of chase waterfowl. That just makes Spock look like an idiot. I don't like that.
I don't know if I agree with that. I thought that was some humor. That was just humor.
No, humor shouldn't come at his expense. It should come from him.
How did that come at his expense?
Because it's not logical to say that. He understands what a wild goose chase is.
To me, it's just his way of making McCoy look small. Because they have that repartee back and forth, and it was just, and he's all about logic. He's like some wild aquatic fowl, like to him, it's nonsense that, all that.
It's an Earth idiom that he would be exposed to and would understand what that is.
Yes. I see it the opposite. I thought it made Spock look better, but whatever. So we're pretty much on the same page anyway. So
yeah, it's me and Anna versus you guys apparently.
Yeah.
What were you on, a 5.5? Is that what we said?
5, yeah.
5.5.
The concept was okay.
All right.
I think there's so much contradiction that especially with these superior, it's like the same kind of story as the Metrons and the Organians and these supposedly higher beings. They take them so except these beings were not at all more evolved. They're just a bunch of idiots, 3 idiots under
Yeah, but evolution doesn't necessarily mean greater morality. That's what I hate. This whole concept that people have, that the more intelligent you are, the more moral you're going to act, and that's completely wrong.
No, I'm
Right.
not saying it. I agree with that. I'm saying,
Yeah.
sure, but they didn't demonstrate in even a higher intellect.
Well, don't you think they were like bored out of their minds? They'd allowed themselves to. They weren't self-aware enough to realize they're acting like boneheads. And Kirk kind of like he does the computer
without any bone.
Without any bones, yeah. Well, I think the teams have been established. It's time to put on our training harnesses and get into the arena. It's me and Anna versus Ron and Graham.
Well,
I mean, score-wise, I mean we're both 7.5.
You drop the high and the low score, so it's a
So it's like a 6.
Basically,
Yeah. It's like
and clear, evolution doesn't mean better choices in TV episodes either, Aaron. So,
but you know what the difference between like the Organians and these guys is, like, they've demonstrated some incredible.
I'm only half listening, Ron. I'm sorry.
they've demonstrated this incredible power to pull these people light years away over their planet. I don't know how far it was. I forget.
It was like 12 light years.
12 light years. Okay. So they're able to draw, first off, they have to know they're there. Secondly, they have to be able to pull these people 12 light years to their planet. And they're just these little brains. And their world is a piece of, it's a shithole, basically. Whereas at least the Organians, the world that they lived on was made to look like that for the Earthlings that were there, but that was nothing of who they were, because they were just beings of pure energy,
Yeah,
and
so, it doesn't. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's hard to justify them having that kind of power, and yet
not using it to be
not using it in another way that would be.
And it doesn't give them. It doesn't save their character by making them honoring their agreement with Kirk. Like, they're still shitheels.
Right.
I mean, the whole thing is just
right. Because they lose that bet, you don't think they're going to bet on something else and then rescind it.
Exactly. It's absurd.
Yeah.
You know what they really missed a chance here. They should have brought in the Gorn, or a Gorn, in this arena, and Kirk would be like, "Oh, geez, not again," because he already fought him once, right? So now he's got to do it again.
They had the costume. It would have been cool if they did do that in other episodes where there was other aliens.
Has to be the
have a Gorn.
He fought too.
Yeah,
that would have been cool.
All right, I changed my vote. 0.
How dare you?
I don't disagree with anything you guys said, but I still like it. So guilty pleasure, I guess.
Yeah.
Bless you.
Bless
Thank you.
All right. Well,
I guess that's it.
There we go. Yeah, and we managed to do this entire episode without diverting off in complete no man's land.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you three.
We had serious disagreements.
You don't veer off from time to time.
No. I'm saying congratulations to you three for keeping it on the track. Because I can clearly go off too.
Yeah, it's too much fun to go off the track.
What's next week?
Next week is the immunity syndrome.
It's a complete.
Oh, did I just give something away?
Weird how it goes from this to that one. Right? Oppositely.
Yeah. And you figure this is how they're filming them. We're watching how they're filming them, not how they're airing them.
I will say, I think in the, of course, I'm not saving it for next week, but the effects, when they did the revamping of the effects on this one were better, I think, as I recall, when they redid this one.
I like the fact that the germ looks like, what are those little cheese crackers that look like fish? Goldfish. Yeah, the gold. It looks like a goldfish with color. So I guess he'd be a gummy fish.
Are you talking about immunity syndrome?
Yeah, I'm talking about immunity syndrome.
What were you talking about, Ron? Were you talking about this episode or the immunity syndrome?
Immunity syndrome.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen the remastered one in a long time, so I really don't know.
But I don't see it looking like a goldfish. Looks like a big amoeba.
Right. I always thought it was an amoeba.
It looks like a fish. You guys, come on, man. Are we gonna start?
Aaron, I'm getting to know more and more about how you think.
Okay, here I got the image pulled up.
Looks like a goldfish.
Oh, okay.
Find the image, Anna. Save me here. It looks like a little gummy fish.
Okay, look.
The the cheese cracker fish thing. Looks like
You got like.
Look at that. It's
that looks like a goldfish to you.
That's a little fish. Look, his eye right there. And he has a tail back there. That is a fish.
Oh yeah, it does kind of look like a goldfish.
It's a gummy fish.
It looks like an amoeba.
Oh, it looks like a fish.
Now, is that the modern one?
Yeah, which
I
is the
think
old
so,
one?
yeah, the ship is
That's
new.
the old one.
Yeah, it looks like the modern one.
That's the old one. There you go.
Oh, there's the old one. Yeah,
Still looks
Oh,
like
yeah.
a fish to me. It looks like a fish. Come on, Ron, admit it. Looks like a
Hey,
fish.
I'm a fisherman, Aaron,
I
and
can't.
it looks like an amoeba to me.
Oh, it looks like a
How
goldfish.
can I admit to something my eyes don't see?
You must be a lot of fun when you're looking at clouds going, what do you see? I see a cloud. Oh, no, you see the rabbit up there, Ron? It's a cloud. Like,
Sorry, I don't see Cheez-It crackers.
Oh,
I see a fig Newton.
Yeah.
It's clearly, Anna, isn't that a fish?
I can see where the fish is.
Thank you.
You
Thank
got
you.
the eye, you got the head, and you got the little tail.
Yeah,
I
but
can
you know
see
what?
it.
If nobody said fish, nobody would see fish.
I
You'd see
see.
amoeba because of all the other little intricacies.
That's the first thing I saw
You
when I
know what?
saw this was a fish.
Go back to the other, or is that the same picture? It even has the nucleus of an amoeba in it.
I know,
Right.
but that's the eye
Yeah,
of
but
the
that's,
fish.
that's the
Right
eye.
there.
That's
That's
the
the eye
eye
of
of
the
the
fish.
fishy.
No, that's the nucleus of like a paramecium, and all those have nucleus.
It's the eye of the fish, Ron.
Oh my god!
Look
Well,
at saying in the chat.
Yeah,
it's
just to-
Where-
just to
where-
blow-
where are
just
the
to blow
scales?
another hole in your theory? The goldfish don't have eyes on the crackers.
Yeah, they do. They have a
They're
smile.
just solid yellow pastry cheese covered, cheese dust covered, whatever.
Oh, okay. Whatever.
Not
We'll
even
get
the
into
same-
this
it's not
next
even the same
week.
color.
We'll get into this next week.
You guys need to take a look at the that spreadsheet that Fiction Method had done. It's still in our link, and if you click on that, it'll be updated. He's got stuff in there now for the movies, the animated series, and then all the data for every episode we've done so far, and our grades, the averages of the grades and stuff. It's really fascinating. He's done a lot of hard work.
Yeah, I got to get to that. And
Yeah. If you just open up the link that was in the our little green room area, it'll update. It's pretty cool.
So at the end of this, we're gonna do what again? We were gonna use that and then come to like we're gonna tally everything up or something. What were we saying we were gonna do?
We wanted to look at what our overall average for the series was.
Yeah.
Each
And
end
then
of
we'll figure out what the average is for the best episode, the worst episode.
Well, it'd be interesting if we tallied up each of ours, all of ours separately.
It is. It's
That's
done
what I mean.
separately.
Right. So we have an average for each person.
Right. That's
then-
what I meant. Yeah.
The high and the low, and find out what
Well, I feel like season 3 is going to skew that.
Yeah, it's going to plummet everybody.
Season 3 is going to skew a lot of stuff, but there are, I would say, at least one or two, one for sure, gems in the third season.
I'll have to go look and
At least for me.
Yeah, there's
There's
two
one
in the third
which
season for me.
is up there with one of my favorites.
which
Yeah.
one?
Which one?
Yeah.
Spectre of the Gun.
Oh, okay.
There's two for me, Spock's Brain and no. I mean,
And the Children Shall Lead.
and Challenge Shall Lead are like two awesome episodes, incredible.
You're giving me. I'm feeling like I'm having like when you bring up those like that one, I just go, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, there's so many bad episodes.
It makes you like physically cringe.
I almost want to.
It's so bad. I can't tell you how many years it's been since I've seen it. And I own all the episodes.
I know. I never watched third season episodes ever.
It's
Oh, don't get me started. I'm going to turn into Ron in the third season. I'm just going to be ripping every episode apart.
And see, I like a lot of the third season.
Uh-oh. She's going
I
to
know.
counterbalance everything with her.
I know.
She goes, I am Turok. That's a 9.5 for me. I love that Indian outfit he wore. We're like,
I love the
There's
pretty
some
light
good
of Zatar. That's a 10.
God, I hate that.
Okay, that one not so much.
Yeah.
I love that Scotty was in love with her.
When I was a kid, I thought I was watching The Exorcist. I'm like,
Imagine
this is a double
if
possession movie.
you're with a well, I'm gonna get a little X-rated here, but imagine if you're with a girl and that's how she sounds when she's
Oh my
no.
gosh.
You'd be like, ah.
Look how uncomfortable you made Anna. Look at her.
No, I have to pee. That's what's making me
Oh.
uncomfortable. I've been holding it for like an hour.
Oh, what a gamer. What a gamer.
It's a good time to sign off now.
Yes. Well, thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week on the landing party for the immunity syndrome. And until then, you guys have a great week. Bye now.